Almost. Gunter, is he going to a different computer?
Yes, he got a new link from you. He's working on it.
Almost. Cool. All right. How do I? Gunter, is he going to a different computer?
Yes, he went back to the original computer.
There. Okay, so then I don't need this.
Unable to rejoin, you've been removed. Again.
There we go.
No, it doesn't work. The new link you send doesn't work. It says the same thing like before he's removed.
What do you think?
Just let's get started. We don't want to
Get started. We'll figure it out. Go.
Okay, sounds good. Sorry about the delay, folks. Get this thing rolling. Just got a notification on YouTube. Yeah, we're going to try the YouTube stream. Here we go. All right, everybody, what's going on? Thanks for being patient. Little tech issues in the beginning, but this is another week, which means it's another wealth webinar. We've got some really amazing guests on. We're going to be bringing you some information about a brand new building technique that solves a lot of problems. But really how I want to tie this thing in is I want to basically talk to you a little bit about some of the things I look at and some of the things Brandon in my office, who's our in-house underwriter and also the person responsible for building out Done For You. I want to show you some of the things we do when we're looking at a deal that we're looking to lend money to. How do we mitigate risk? What are the different risks that come along with being a private lender that you can mitigate? And I want to show you literally how all of you can literally dissect a deal and eliminate a lot of the risks within a deal so that it fits your personal investing goals and needs, or just your profile. Like every one of you, when you get into investing, okay, I don't care if it's investing in Wall Street. If you work with a financial advisor, the first meeting with any financial advisor is a suitability meeting where the advisor will go through and ask you a whole bunch of questions: time horizon, risk tolerances, what is the money being used for? Where's the money coming from? Most of you have gone through this. And what they're trying to do is to figure out your needs, your goals, and your risk assessment is a roundabout way of saying it. They want to know what is a suitable investment for you by doing a suitability. But once you kind of move out of the Wall Street world and you move into the private world, the alternative world that we now live in, a lot of that due diligence is on all of you. And I will tell you this, one of the most important things when you're looking at investing any money is always invest in things that you know, things that you like, and things that you understand. Can you all repeat that real quick? I don't care even if you just chat in right now. Things that you know, things that you like, and things that you understand. If you invest only in things that you know, like, and understand, your risk in any investment will go down substantially. But yet I get people all the time that are investing in things that they have no knowledge about. They don't even know the first thing about it. I was just at a mastermind, and one of the girls that I know in there, she had invested in this company about $125,000. And this company was creating a product. Okay, you guys are going to laugh. And we kept hearing about this, and she was like trying to promote it. This product was really fit for RV, like people that have RV parks or people that are just driving around in a camper, and it gives them Wi-Fi signal. Now, hang on, because I know all of you are like, yeah, that already exists. I get that with T-Mobile. I get that with Verizon. I get that with, Sprint. They all have one of those. You just plug it in and boom, you got internet service. Well, this company reinvented it. But then the kicker came when she showed a picture of it. How many of you have ever seen a router with like little bunny ears? Like the really old ones that were big and they had like the two little antenna things? That was the picture of what this brand new investment that was going to revolutionize internet signal for RV parks. And we're just like, oh my God. She clearly did not know, like, or understand the things she invested in, because now she's invested in something that probably will not turn out to be a good investment, but she blindly did it. And she said, this is the future. This is going to be a 9 million or whatever. She said she's going to make like $6 or $9 million on her investment because of what they told her. Like, stop listening to other people tell you what your investment's going to do and start doing your own due diligence. And I think that's a lot of what we're going to do today. We're going to really show you how Gunter and Robert have engineered this deal okay, and how they've literally looked at all the risks that come along with that. And I want to also then chime in a lot because me and my team have looked at this deal for an investment purpose, and we've actually kind of looked at the different risks that we saw in the deal and helped Gunter to create this so that it mitigated as many of our risks. So, for example, if me or Brandon or anybody on my team wanted to invest in it, we literally engineered the deal to be a deal that we would invest in. Now, that's for us, right? But we know, like, and understand real estate. And I know a lot of you on here do. So right now in the chat, how many of you know, like, and understand real estate? And specifically, let's talk about single family homes that are rented out. How many of you know, like, and understand single family homes? Put yes in the chat right now. Right? Most of you live in a home, right? So you understand what you live in. And also, if you look at the statistics, currently, right now, the trajectory, we covered this in WTF, says that in the next decade, all the single family homes that are out there in the US, about 40% of them will be owned by institutions. And not only that, Stephen showed another stat that showed how the future generation of homeowners, which won't be homeowners, are actually going to be renters because they can't physically afford the housing stock. So think about those couple things. In the future, millennials, Gen Zs, Gen X, not so much Gen X's, sorry, Gen Zs, Gen Ys will rent instead of buy. The new, like the American dream used to be buying their own home, paying off your home. Many of you can relate to that. In the future, that will not be the goal. The goal will simply be to have a house over your head or a roof over your head, and that will be done in the form of renting. All the stats are already there. Stephen, I don't know if you want to share any of that, if you have any of those stats that we did earlier, but it's pretty alarming. So given all of that, if you knew that most people in the future are going to rent, if you knew there was a massive demand from institutions to buy single family rentals, and you knew that the biggest problem with building is usually time constraints and building constraints because of either labor or materials, or there's just so many moving parts. What if you could mitigate all three of those things? You knew that people were going to be renting in the future, so create the stock so that they have a place to rent. Make sure that it's affordable, so find a way to build affordable homes. Find a way to make sure that the building of these homes can happen in a fraction of the time that a normal house takes to build. And then engineer how it can be the lowest risk. Like, for example, one of my favorite things, and I'll pick on Rob and Nicole Fuller for a second. I've done a lot of lending to Rob and Nicole for ROI properties. And one of the things I love is a lot of the things that I invest in with them are pre-sold. In other words, they've got land that they've developed and got ready so houses could be built on it. And then what they do is while that land is getting ready, they literally sell it to the D.R. Hortons of the world. They pre-sell it. So literally the land is already sold before it's even done, before the house is even beginning to be put on. So if I'm lending on a deal, on a project that is already pre-sold, doesn't that reduce my risk significantly? Absolutely. And then you just got to check the boxes for the rest. What is my risk profiles reduced because it's pre-sold, because I'm a first lien position. And not only that, then you just got to say, okay, how long do I want my money out there working? Is it 6 months, 12 months, 24 months? Then you would say, okay, what are the other things? What is the return I want on my money? 12%, 15%. What is your desired return on the money? So all of these things play into how you need to do your own due diligence. But what we're going to do today is, well, actually not me, but more Robert and Gunter. They're going to show you how they've literally looked at this entire landscape that we just went over, how they've looked at the entire future of where real estate's going, how they tapped into the institutions that want these properties. Because, hey, listen, you can be a builder or a landlord, but it's hard to be both. Like if you're building houses, then you're also owning the houses. Sometimes it's just hard. You're doing too many things and your time gets spread pretty thin. So what if you could just be the builder, if that's what you're good at, and then you already had an institution that buys your properties from you when they're built at a prearranged price, and they contractually show that they've already sold the house. This is sounding pretty good, right? So if you know, like, and understand real estate, and then you know, like, and understand what's coming in real estate, which is more people need housing and they need to rent it. And then you just got to figure out, okay, who's buying these kind of rentals or building these rentals and put all the pieces together. It's a pretty freaking cool landscape. And that's what I like. I like low risk. with good returns. Notice I didn't say high returns, I said good returns, because I'm not chasing the big returns all the time. I will literally bunt and hit base hits for the rest of my life if the risk is lower. But I think a lot of people make the mistake. And I want to really kind of pay attention in some of the chats. Here we go. Steven, is that?
So this is just a recent Wall Street Journal analysis on renting and mortgage payments right now. So just kind of showing, you know, rents have gone up, but the cost of owning and having a mortgage are just sky high right now. So it's forcing, because of the price of interest rates and the price of homes and everything that's gone up so high, it's just forcing people to rent and just driving that market up as well. But just shows that gap where most people, especially young people, are not even able to purchase homes right now.
And I don't see that trajectory changing. I mean, there was another article I saw, and I can't remember where it was, but it was talking about the institutions, the BlackRocks, Blackstones, the Vanguards, all the institutions out there. They're gobbling up as many of these single family homes as they can. You all remember during the pandemic, it was all over the news, you know, how many houses they were buying. I mean, real estate investors looking to flip a house or buy a rental, they couldn't even compete with the institutional buyers. That really hasn't changed too much. The only thing that's changed is interest rates went really high, which slowed the whole thing down. So does this make sense to everybody? Does it make sense that, you know, when we're looking at how we're going to make our money go to work for us, we want to fully control as much of the you know, where that money's going. We want to control as much of it as we can. And we also 100% need to control the risk we want to take with a preferred investment. I love, you know, Mark Perry said, you know, the Fullers are his go-to investing choice. Now, why do you think that would be? Do you think it would be probably because Mark got really familiar with the Fuller's business model, got really familiar with what they're doing, and then got comfortable with them. So it was, you know, he got comfortable with the deal. They got comfortable with what the future was and what they're building. But then he also built a relationship with them. Hence, he's got his go-to. So some of you on here, because right now we got 146 of you, you don't have a go-to. You're still looking for that. We created private money clubs so you could find those. But also now what we're doing is we're using this platform, the Wealth Webinar, to teach you not just about opportunities, but to teach you how an opportunity can be created by you, how you can literally create or engineer your own opportunity so that your money goes to work for you in a place that you are 100% comfortable lending on and 100% comfortable in the risks you're taking with this. No more should be the days of just throwing money at things and hoping and praying. That literally should just be out of your memory completely. You just forget about it. Like just throwing money in a stock. You're saying, oh, I hope it goes up. Throwing money in Bitcoin, but I don't even know what Bitcoin is. But the taxi driver and the Uber driver said it's going to go to the moon. Like, got to get rid of that. So that's why, you know, everybody here on this webinar today, and everybody on my team, we've literally kind of taken what we would invest in and narrowed it down to things that we're just really familiar with. It's kind of like, you know, we just understand the landscape. We understand what we're doing. And that's what I'm trying to instill in each and every single one of you, all 150 of you. I'm trying to give you what we do, how we do it. And I'm even going to bring our underwriter on after Robert and Gunter go through, you know, the stuff that they're doing. So you can see how we looked at this exact engineered deal and what things we did or said that needed to change to make it appeal to us. So with that being said, I'm going to turn this over to Gunter, and I want him to kind of just talk a little bit about the deal, and Robert as well. Robert, well, actually, first, do you want to just give an explanation of who each of you are? Because I don't think many people on here know unless they met you at Money Tank.
Yes, well, thank you, Chris. Let me still share the screen while Robert and I share who we are. I want that everybody can, in the meantime, even read this slide. 1 second here. So we go right here. I'm sorry. Here we go. So welcome, everybody. I appreciate the attendance. I appreciate Robert. I appreciate, Robert, of course, but I really appreciate Chris Naugle. I met him about a year ago. We were able to meet each other on the same stage where we were both speaking in Chicago. I appreciate his team from the Money Tank. We all met again in August in Raleigh, North Carolina. I learned a lot. I met a lot of people. And just my quick what I did in the past. I started as a broker, real estate broker, fix and flip after the meltdown in 2008. Started multifamily investing back in 2017, syndication, and I'm together with another couple of large syndicators. And then when 2020 hit, I realized I need to pivot. I need to do something else. Where's the money? Where are the people and my buyers? And what's happening on Wall Street in March 2020? So I decided start working on the West Coast. There was apparently no COVID. Nobody had a mask and people were going out. And I started buying land, single family lots, and started building single family homes. For 3 years down the road, I had many hiccups. I learned, I went through all the price increases, all the challenges with labor, permitting, and everything. And I met Robert, actually in the very beginning. We met each other exactly in 2020, and he's a real estate developer. Why not you speak about yourself, Robert?
How you doing, everybody? Thank you for being here. And I basically began my career in construction back in 1986. And in the early 90s, I became a firefighter in the local fire department here, and worked my way up to battalion chief before I retired in 2004. But as I was working in the fire department, we were still doing construction for many years. And when I retired, we got into real estate, and we eventually we've got into real estate development. We've done many projects over the years, and it's the struggles that, came through 2008 that actually rehoned our business to the model that we have today, which is basically what all the other builders in town are having problems with, which is subcontractors. We self-perform 70% of all our products, and we've developed things, 45-acre development in Naples for Benderson Development. We've built a couple of hotels, a couple of mall areas for the site work development for 231 townhomes. Presently, we have 130,000 square foot warehouse facility with the 30,000 square foot office space inside of it under construction now. Slabs on, walls are going up now. That's projected into that is in July. And we're doing a couple other site work developments. We've worked in the past with the HUD housing through the fall of the market. We built many homes for the municipalities, and that's where we kind of really honed our single family product down, and made us keep looking for the right solution and the right time. And then, of course, that's where we're at now, and you'll hear more about it as we go through here. But that's a little bit.
Thank you, Robert. Let me just show you a quick disclaimer. That's not a security what we are doing. We are building homes. Let's get started here. So the most important thing that what I have learned from Chris and other investors is you need to ask yourself, what's the biggest problem today? And what are the biggest risks? And what do I do about risk mitigation? And that's what we laid out here very clearly. And when you have any other questions, what you need to know from us, feel free to ask us. The first question is how secure is my investment? And how long are you going to be in the game? So we limited this to 1 year. Then what about when the economy is collapsing tomorrow? What about the recession starts, or what people predicting for the last 2 years already? There's going to be a market crash and it's going to look like 2008. What's going to happen then? And what about my cash flow? Maybe this I should say first. The most important thing is when I invest $100,000, what I'm getting back. I want to have my monthly payment. I want to have my monthly check. Let's say I'm not working anymore. Where's my money coming from when I invest it today? So after 30 days, construction starts. We really making our monthly payments to our investors for the duration of 1 year. And the next question I put there, when I do get my money back? Yes, after 1 year, you get your money back. And the return, I already mentioned the return. Yes, so we are paying, basically, I want to say this up front, right away that everybody knows. The way we do the returns, we are paying a 15% annual return. The biggest thing is the biggest question when you go to Google or other places and find out the question is that about 83% of all investors, the biggest fear is I'm investing through my self-directed IRA account or any other means I have or my bank account. I invest my nest egg, my retirement money. What about I give you 100,000 and then you lose it? What do I do? So we really tackle those questions. And then we're going to discuss the challenges. What are the biggest challenges today in construction? And I can firsthand tell you, I built 12 houses and I'm still building. They're already 2 years under construction. And this was in Cape Coral. And why? Because of communication, because of the quick rise or fast rise in materials, the delay, the shipping delays, the material delays, the cost of labor, where labor people don't show up to work, and bad quality. And then, of course, budget overruns. So all of a sudden, when you're in a deal more than 1 year and the house is not finished, then it's a disaster and the investor's losing money. So let me tell you, I learned this firsthand. So now, and we are here to bring a solution to that. Number one is really the time delays. I don't want any more any time delay. When I tell my builder, hey, I want to build this house, I need to move in 6 months. I cannot wait a year. And here's the answer. So by the way, I do a lot of research. I had like 3 or 4 different ways of building a house with SIP panels, structured, engineered panels, all other things too. What's the fastest way? So I came to know a company which is called Brickless. They can build a house to completion in 90 days. Worst case scenario, 120 days. And I watched them. I met them earlier this year, just down the road from us, 40 miles. They're building right now 150 homes. About 100 homes already completed since June, actually, when I saw those homes the first time. And I can show you later, we show you a video how these homes are being built. The first day is really building the slab and the foundation. On the second day, they are putting up forms. They're special aluminum forms. And on the third day, they are pouring the concrete. Day number 4, the house is basically finished. The shell is finished. So that's time delays. We are able, Robert and me, we are able now to build within 120 days, we can deliver the house. The labor costs, because we have our own subcontractors and other people, we are working hand in hand together where we can overcome any kind of hiccups. So let's say one person doesn't show up to work, we replace that person with another person. We have quality control. Robert is the commercial contractor. He can build the homes and I do quality control. Basically, I'm the project manager running the entire operation. We are not building one house by one house. We are building 5 homes at the same time, minimizing the travel because every 5 or 10 homes we are building, they are within like less than a quarter mile. They are like on the same block, on the same street, or one street over. So we are moving from house to house in a very quick fashion. And regarding the overrun, as I already mentioned, we have a very, very complex system, but it's working very well. It means in the past, my experience is, let's say tomorrow we need the windows, correct? So the windows are delayed because the factory is delayed or something else happened. I purchased windows one time in Texas, and then the building collapsed and we had no windows. So you never know what happened. But we're buying all our materials up front and have them all lined up. The latest acquisition Robert did is that he was able, with a friend of his, they purchased a window and door a manufacturing company right in our area. That means we can order the windows, the doors, the garage door. We don't need to wait a month or 2 months to deliver materials. That's how we save time. And at the end, we are saving money and avoid delays. Let me show you this quick video, how it works.
Is there supposed to be volume?
That's how we're building the one-story homes.
Hey, Gunter, you know we can't hear it, right?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, if there was something we were supposed to be listening to, we weren't able to hear it.
That's interesting. What do I do wrong?
When you click share for your video, there's two little boxes in the bottom you got to click that allows the sound to be played.
You know what happened here is this is a slide. Brandon put this in for me to
That's
make it
okay.
easy.
Yeah, that's fine.
Basically, what it said is it's basically what you have seen is this the one-story home, and there's another short video later. There's actually no sound. It's just you see how it's being done. We are building one-story homes. We're pouring the foundation. We are pouring the slab, and then we're putting up the framework, which are aluminum panels. We are putting them up in one day. That's how we built the entire shell and pouring the concrete. I'm sorry for the inconvenience that this happened.
Oh no, the video was fine.
Want to make it just share with you the state of the economy, basically the state of real estate we're on the southwest coast of Florida, and this is just we started with COVID-19 in 2020, where people started moving down there. At that time, I followed the Google search and figured out, man, a lot of people moving to Central Florida and the West Coast. So that's why I decided to go over there and start working. And even today, so it's not just a pandemic where the migration trends started. They started earlier, but more so the last 2 years, actually. So about 1,200 people moving every single day into our state. Our population neared already 30 million people in Florida. And among the top 10 cities where people are investing and want to live and work are 5 cities, which is Orlando, Sarasota, Tampa, Cape Coral, which is all there where we are on the West Coast, and of course, Miami. And this is the geographical area. When you look on the west side, you see in the middle actually is Port Charlotte, Charlotte County. That's where we work and live. On the right-hand side, you see Punta Gorda. Many people can fly in with Allegiant Air today to Punta Gorda. And then you have Port Charlotte. On the very top of the page, you see a round big circle. That's where we build our homes, which is just very close to downtown Port Charlotte. What's very important, we are not building a community per se. We are building on scattered lots. So there's no HOA and no restrictions. And these are all 11, 12,000 square feet lots, like quarter-acre lots. And the other beauty is to the coast. From our area, we drive 20 or 30 minutes, and we have the most beautiful, quiet, clean beaches. We have no crime. We have barrier islands, and it's just great, the lifestyle. Why Port Charlotte? This is the few reasons I mentioned to you already. One of them is just actually in 2 days from today on Friday, Allegiant Air is going to open a Sunseekers Resort. They worked 4 years on this with COVID interruptions, a $700 million resort with 800 rooms and 60,000 square feet of conference center. And actually, this was one of my ideas. Maybe, Chris, next year we can invite you and we can have a great meeting down here. You can use that link and look it up on the internet. So
yeah, the cost like a nice place.
Oh, it's really nice, man. And whatever you look their website. Then Port Charlotte offers a very attractive cost of living for new residents, and for everybody else too. By the way, our cost of living is 7% lower than in many other places. Port Charlotte is ranked one of the best locations to live with our climate, and of course, you all know, and the reason why people move here, and more corporations, because we don't have state income tax. A medium, in the latest research from November, a typical bedroom, a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, about 1,500 square feet. The average sales by November were $399,000 in Charlotte County in general, but narrowed it down to Port Charlotte, where we work. The median prices, as you see on in the middle, it's $360,000, and it's a little bit lower, like 2% lower than over the last 2 years. And let me share about this here briefly. The opportunity for the investors. That's why this is a two ways. Number one is for yourself as an investor. You invest and you get your monthly paycheck. The other thing is what Chris mentioned early on, that more and more people moving here, they want to build their rental portfolio. So we are also building for professionals, basically, or Wall Street, when they want 3 homes or 4 homes. Down the road, we start building those homes for individual investors. The cost of building, including our reserve, is $300,000 per home. Includes the licenses, the land acquisition, all the labor and materials, but we can deliver this house in 4 months. And the way we start doing this, we start building 5 homes at the same time. So we have all our lots prepared. We have our environmental audit, our elevation certificate, and we start going. So right now we are raising a total of $1.5 million to build every 4 months 5 homes. And we deliver them between 90 and 100 days at a time. And on the bottom of the page, what are the terms? We're offering a 50% annual return, and we have monthly distributions, and we are starting 30 days from the start of construction. And the term is a 1-year term. Down the road, when people want to extend this or new people coming in, we're going to be open to 2-year terms too. And then let me hand this thing over here to Robert. Do you see the screen? Robert?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Then please, can you share with them about Brickless, about the new technology, how we start building now, how it is being done, and what it really is. It's really for the next generation. We really try to build energy efficient homes, and since we can build more homes at the time and more affordable homes, we really feel like we're going to be able down the road really making an impact in our communities. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Basically, as Gunther has said, we've said multiple times about the speed of the construction. Of course, that's the whole key to this project is getting the products out, getting the subcontractors. It's key to have them on hand, as well as the materials, and having everything pre-bought and pre-planned, and be able to go. In this scenario, the next thing up, you're going to see the video again, kind of like the first one, but basically to walk you through what you're about to see is basically we go in, we clear the lot, we pour the slab, they form the walls, and by day 2, I believe, we're already pouring the walls, and the speed is just, it's one set of construction guys that do this, rather than having somebody to have to do slab. Normally you have to have somebody to do the concrete block or the 2x4 construction. And there's just too many layers of subcontractors involved, whereas this is just all one. It's kind of like the house itself. It's all meshed. It's all one piece thing. It's built like a bunker, basically. And it is very resistive to storm damage as well. Go ahead and play the video. This is a 2-story home for the model that you have here, but it's still the same concept. On day 1, you have the slab, and then the rebar goes in for the walls as well. And some of the you'll see here in a little bit here some of the packages. Excuse me. The bathrooms and the kitchens are modularized and brought in already pre-built, which helps with the speed.
Yeah, Robert, do you want to continue talking through this? Because that made it a lot better to watch the video.
I
while
know.
you kind of
I'm
narrate.
trying to, but I got a little head cold the other day and I was having the cough, so I turned it off. So anyway, but yes, you see the walls going in, and now you see the floor joist here for the second story. But on day 3, that would be roof going on. Okay. Now that on day 4, they're putting the second floor on, and then on day 5, they'll be pouring that one and then putting the roof on. But on the 1-story version, on day 4, the roof goes on, and then basically at that point, there's nothing left to do but frame it out, get the electric in it, put the drywall on, because the bathroom and the kitchens, they all come pre-plumbed as well. All we got to do is this main service hookup.
That's just wild. It's almost like Legos.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in this version you see here, we're not importing the rooms and the walls because what Gunther and I have done to more profitize more to make sure that we have higher profits on this is that we're self-performing all of the interior on the buildings as well.
Okay.
Excuse me. And there's 2 versions that we'll build. You'll see in some pictures later on. One version has a flat roof, and the other version has a standard hip roof like this one. In between these poured bunker walls and a metal roof, especially the flat ones, and the hurricane windows, they stand up to the storms very well.
Yeah, that's an important thing. I think a bunch of people were asking, does it make the homes hurricane safe? But because of the building structure, more so than just a stick build. And then,
and it's more so than even a normal CBS block because this is a solid pour. There's no, it's just all one. It's like a bank vault, the whole thing. It's just crazy. And then, of course, because of that, we have energy efficiency. And the main deal is the strategy towards the build to rent, so we can get them done quickly and get them under the price point, so then the big institutions can purchase them, and when they purchase them, they'll still have a little bit of upside on their end too as well. And our model allows us with the quick, instead of having to spend 12 to 14 months building, now every 2 months we can break ground on the next 5. So now the machine keeps going. So we have buying power with materials. We have buying power with our subcontractors, et cetera. This location earlier, this one that's circled right now, these are the first 5. When Gunther we had the map up of the whole town, and he showed the larger circle in the center. This is what's circled around this. To the right there, you'll see, looks like they're doing development land. Currently, this is an old picture. The aerials aren't up to date, but that's a new community called Westport. There's 7 major developers that built in there in the community, but it is a gated community. It's 0 lot lines. They put it there because it's in the center of town where everything is going, but we're building on the scattered lots next to it because when you're doing for rentals, it's not that great to be in an HOA. The flexibility is very low. So we build on the scatter lots around it, so the homes still maintain their value because they're near the larger developments, but they're more conducive to renting. And around that circle right there, the first 5 homes will literally, I know Gunther said a quarter of a mile, but these first 5, 4 of the lots are all together back to back, and the 5th one is only 80 feet away. So literally we're in a very tight cluster, which is also part of the construction model, because I can have subcontractors who may show up to the property, or my employees, and come noon they're done with the project, and they, instead of going to another one, they go home. Or these guys who just keep working, like all 5 homes are treated as one large project, like a multifamily project. These are the homes with the flat roofs. These ones here, these were designed in the fashion of the hurricane in mind, because of all the roof losses. This has a commercial TPO roof on it, and it does get damaged in storms, but definitely not like a shingle roof. And most of the damage that happens in the storms are usually from the neighbors' shingle roofs blowing into your windows and blowing your windows out. So if the whole neighborhood has flat roofs, we eliminate another aspect of the issues there. This is the one with the hip roof. It's the other model. It's the inside framing you see on the bottom. You can see on the bottom right-hand corner, you can see the home is framed out, but then you look at the bathroom and it's completely finished. It's because that bathroom arrived and was craned in, which is one of the others slower, because then you got to have subs for your tile and your, your plumbers and all that cabinetry. This is all just, it's just one big smooth transition.
This slide I put in, Chris, like you said earlier, all of a sudden the build-to-rent asset class is really being institutionalized. And we're going to see this next year, where all of a sudden other people, JP Morgan or other larger investors, going to knock on the door and say, hey, can you build us 100 doors? And in the meantime, some builders are just ramping up and just renting them out and see how the interest rates are going to go, how the inflation is going to go. And this is something for the end of 24 or maybe 2025 or 26. It all depends where we are headed. And this is our last slide where Robert's going to tell you the reason why we are doing it and what are the key factors we just discussed the last 25 minutes.
And basically, in conclusion, what we're building is in very high demand. Also, being on the real estate side, we have a high shortage of inventory that's in this price range. So not only the build to rent community side of it, the ones that aren't pre-sold, we also have the ability to sell them to an end user as well, if we so choose. And basically, we're just laser focused on the new cutting edge, of the finished product of having this type of construction and it withstanding storms the way it does. The speed of construction with 190 to 120 days to completion, couples with actually our ability there for the quality of the product. Somebody hit the wrong slide back. Anyway, so the speed of construction with 90 to 120 days and the quality of the products goes hand in hand because of the way we have our business model in our construction company. Like I said, we self-perform quite a bit of our own products, so we have the ability to ensure we have to ensure the quality control because we have most of the people under our employ. We do not use subcontractors. Currently, we're only using subcontractors for AC and plumbing. We do site work, we do the septic tanks, we do the slabs, we do the drywall in-house, we do the framing in-house. We have an electrical company that's in-house as well, have our own electricians on hand, and most recently just acquired a door and window company that's been here in town over 40 years. So we have acquired them. What we did is we went after all of the trades that always give us the most problems and are delayed and backed up. And it's electric, doors and windows, and concrete mostly, I guess, in the septic as well. So we've assembled that entire group under our roof. And so now we control them all and we have no delays. And we're very confident that we may be able to even affect these in less than the 120-day average. We're focused on the investors' transparency, of course. And, we're an open book, as well as, monthly distributions at the 15% return. Again, time frame, as Gunther said, initially it's 12 months, but we may expand into the 24-month section. And we feel like it's a win-win for everyone involved.
Yeah, so I want to go into some questions here, some really good questions that have been coming up. You guys got a lot of interesting questions that popped up because of this construction method. One of them is, does this construction method reduce the cost of insurance? Since it is, like you said, being built almost like a bank vault. I mean, is the insurance going to be less for the end buyer?
That's an answer that we don't have yet, but the insurance is based upon your 4-point wind mitigation of your home and how secure it is. So I would bet that we're going to get one of the lowest ratings. I don't know that it's going to have a significant difference until maybe till we get to some institutional insurance company and have them really come dissect it.
Okay. Drew,
But for everybody, it's a good question, Chris, for everybody to know. Over the last 6 months, the insurance bills, invoices we received on other houses or similar homes, it's really monthly around $120 per month, which is actually lower than you pay on the East Coast, much lower.
okay, then Drew was asking, can this style house be built to passive house standards, which I'm not familiar with what that means.
What's a passive house standard?
I'm not sure. All right, we'll go to the next one. Glenn, this is a good question. What is the expected monthly rent based on the purchase price of $300,000 or the build price of $300,000? So
The monthly rent price on a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom is average right now $2,500 to $2,800 for 1,500 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2 bathrooms, plus a 2-car garage.
Okay. So $2,500 to $2,800. And I'm just putting this all on the board as we go here, folks. Katan, if I said that right, where do you get the pre-built modular sections like bathrooms and bedrooms? Is there any insulation installed?
The insulation is going to be installed on site. And what I don't want to take this away from you, but I just remembered what we're going to do additionally. We're going to use some type of Aku foam. It costs maybe $1,000 or $2,000 more, but we can achieve a 50% reduction in cost, in energy costs, creating this type of building envelope.
Okay. And then how much did you guys buy the vacant lots for?
Well, pricing on that varies depending on customer and area. But the current ones that we're going to be using, we're paying an average of $20,000 per lot.
And that's wrapped into the total cost to build of $300,000, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so roughly $20K is land. So about $280 to build. Okay.
And the lots are 80 times 125.
80 times 125 lots. Then we got, Mark, I'll cover that. I got Brandon, who's going to go into the type of loan this is. It's pretty simple. It's promissory note, mortgage, first lien mortgage. And then Dana's last question was, why would you need to go 24-month term with such a quick turnaround? And I think you guys you're doing a 12-month offering, but you were going to add a 24-month just in case people wanted to go longer and go to the next round of houses, because this is just 5 houses out of the, how many did you say you're building total for the end buyer? 150?
Yeah, we're building, actually there are 150, that's correct. We're starting with 50. So the first phase is building 50 homes.
Yeah.
And we start building 5 homes at a time.
So Dana, they're doing it in, like, basically think of it as a tranche, right? They're raising for 5 homes at a time, so they're not getting too far ahead of themselves. But they've got a contract basically for 50 homes, right? Is it 50 or is it 150? 50. A contract for 50 homes that the end buyer, the institutional buyer, is already said, we will buy them when you build them. And they have a signed, notarized LOI, letter of intent for that, which I'll have Brandon talk about. So that's the reason, Dana. It just gives people the ability to either go 12 or they could go longer. You know, some people don't want to do 12 months, which is, you know, like personal preference. They want their money working longer. Like Brent Kessler, for example, he won't do a 12. Well, he will, but he shies away from 12-month deals because he just wants to put his money out there, get paid interest, and have that interest be paid for a longer period of time. If Brent was on here, I wouldn't be surprised if he took the whole damn thing down, because 15% is a good rate, first secured position with that contract already signed by the end buyer. So it's technically a pre-sold deal. So So with that being said, anything else, Gunter, that you wanted to talk about on this?
No, just when people have any special questions, it's fine. When people want to visit us down the road in January, February, it's fine. I'm glad to introduce the entire area there. It's just a great place to live.
Yeah, so
And it's
I don't want you guys to go anywhere quite yet. But what I want to do is if you could just stop sharing for a second, and everybody, I want to introduce you to Brandon. I'm gonna, once that's done, we'll get everybody up here on the screen. Brandon down in the right-hand corner, he's been working with us as you all probably can tell. He's right down the hall in another studio. But Brandon is the one that underwrites anything that we or myself are going to lend on. For example, I just did a syndication deal. I put a little bit of money at a syndication deal. I did another deal for 50. We're looking at this deal. So what I wanted to have Brandon do is just take a couple seconds on how we kind of started with this deal with Gunter and Robert and the different things he's done. And Brandon, also tell them a little bit about your background and why you're qualified to kind of do the underwriting. So I'll pin you up and you can kind of just walk them through this deal, what you like, what you don't, and what you've done so far.
Thanks, Chris. Nice to meet everyone. So a little bit about my background. I come from the banking world. I have, I believe, 8 years in larger banks, Bank of America and M&T Bank here in Buffalo. And then from there, I went to the credit union world. So I became a manager at a smaller credit union and went to something a little bit bigger and started running compliance, lending, and other aspects for a credit union. So I have about 13 or 14 years of lending and banking experience that I'm bringing to the table. My first conversation with Gunter was kind of just digging into the deal. So what I was looking for was how secure is the loan. So with the fact that the deal has been pre-sold essentially to a buyer who is looking to already buy all these 50 properties in chunks of 5, that was the first step to alleviating any kind of risk that I was looking at, knowing that, hey, these things are going to be sold. I did ask Gunter, and I hope I don't have this wrong. So Gunter, if you can correct me if I have this mistaken. If the next question I had for him was, what was the plan for if the sale falls through? So Gunter informed me that what the plan was, that he was going to end up purchasing and buying them himself and renting them himself. So he has, I believe he said 15 years of experience as a broker / real estate, like a rental manager. So I wanted to make sure that there was a plan for if that deal does fall through. And it appears he does have a general plan for if these properties are not sold to the end buyer. One of the other things I looked at was the market in the area. I asked Gunter to send over to some of the properties that are for sale in the area that are comparable in size and build. He did send over, I believe, 3 of them, and I did find them to be actually over what he estimated as the end value of between, what did he say, 369 to 379. So I saw properties that were in the area being sold for all the way up to about 400. I'm trying to go through my notes. And then with the fact that there was a 15% return, I thought that was, a healthy return for something that was in a first lien position. We are working with finalizing the exact verbiage in notes just to make sure the lenders are protected. But we're working on getting the notes and mortgages finalized before investments can be made.
Awesome. So you're kind of hearing it from a banker's side of it. And it's kind of funny, like a lot of times when I first started working with Brandon, like the level of detail he would go into from the underwriting, I'm like, oh my God, this is never going to get done because it just takes time, right? It's like things are back and forth. How many times have you and Gunter been on calls or emailing back and forth about this deal?
Almost daily for the last 2 weeks. I would say, I'd say every other day for the last 2 weeks, maybe.
So like I always consider myself blessed that we actually have, somebody of Brandon's caliber here, an underwriter that can look at our deals and do that. And what's also cool is we then, after we look at a deal and we say, okay, yeah, we'll definitely, do this deal, we then can train all of you on how we went through the process, which is the purpose of today, or at least the first part of today's training, was to kind of go through and explain how we did our due diligence. Again, Brandon's still working on the finalized note. We also now have in-house legal counsel, so that speeds things up for us. We can get legal documents from a borrower, have our attorney review them, and get a turnaround within 1 day, and then send it back over for changes. How many times have you done that with Gunter?
Say that again?
Like the revisions of notes and mortgages and from the end buyer?
I think we've gone back and forth 3 or 4 times so far in the last week and a half.
Okay.
So it's just having it's going back and forth between in-house counsel, having them look at what we added, and then going back to Gunter and saying, okay, we need this change, and him sending it over to his title company to make the changes, or his attorney, and back and forth. So, and the other thing I do want to add is, if someone is not, one of the things we looked at is if someone is not a full investor on one of those $300,000 properties, if you're doing only a partial, say 100,000, there is a way in Florida that we have figured out already to have everybody who's listed on the note as a first lien position. So you're not changing to a second, third position if you're the second or third investor on the same property. So I do want to add that.
Yeah, that's key. So real quick, folks, I'm just going to share my screen just because now that we have in-house legal counsel, we actually have to do silly things like this. So Chris Naugle, Private Money Club and Money School, does not endorse or recommend any third-party financial services or products presented in its webinars or live events. In some circumstances, Private Money Club will receive monetary compensation for these third parties in exchange for allowing them to market their services and products in our forums. Investments contain financial risk. You should evaluate any potential investments carefully, consult with qualified professionals such as attorneys, accountants, certified financial advisors before making investment decisions. That is our disclaimer. I got that out of the way. So now check that box, just like Brandon was checking the boxes with this deal. Yep. First secured mortgage. Yep. Checks the box. 12 months. Obviously, there's a 24-month option. Yep. 15% interest. Great interest rate. I think everybody on here can agree that 15% is a really good deal. The investment options into this are anywhere from a minimum of 50, which the reason, when we were talking to Gunter about it, they were talking, well, how should we offer it? And I said, well, any way you want, but just know if you offer it at 100,000, because everybody always wants to come in and offer it at 100. I said, you're competing with Fullers, which have a track history and a very well-known, on Private Money Club. So by coming in at 50, you can serve the entire audience, where they can't get into Fuller deals, and serve at a higher interest rate than what they can get in Fullers with still first secured. But the cool part is, and we barely talked about this, but I mean, I've seen the document, and I've actually even talked to the acting CFO of the company that's buying these properties. So they actually have a signed letter of intent. I guess that's what you call it, right, Brandon? Is it letter of intent?
Oh. Yeah, it's a letter of intent.
Okay, signed letter of intent from the end buyer for, well, it's technically the letter of intent's these 5, but it's for 50. So
for 50, yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, you've seen it more than I have, for 50 homes. So this end institutional buyer has agreed to buy 50 homes from Robert and Gunter, of which 5 of them are being offered right now. And this deal is not on Private Money Club yet, because I wanted to kind of train and teach everybody on this deal in Wealth Webinar, because I just thought it was a cool case study. We're really looking at what's the best thing to make our money go to work and what deals work for different investors. I'm just kind of talking to you how this deal fits our box, here at Money School and me personally, and why we would invest in it. And I just thought that was cool to be able to show it firsthand how Brandon and our team has literally looked at a deal from start to finish. It's taken a while. Gunter's been incredibly patient, so patient that Robert got sick, physically sick, of waiting for us to get this damn thing done. Just picking on you there, Robert. That's joking, but we just don't move quick. But now we're in the final stage. Once we get the final promissory note and the final mortgage back, we're ready to rock with this thing. So actually somebody was asking accredited investors only. This is the beauty. No, you do not have to be an accredited investor for this because it's direct to the deal. You're lending direct to the deal. It's not a syndication. It's not a Reg D. It's not a Reg A. You're just a lender. Like it'd be like lending on any real estate deal that you want, which makes this really nice. That's a good question, Mark. What is the time frame to invest? I don't know. How long are you guys doing the open raise for?
Actually, we do. It's a good question. We do it. The reason why, because the reason why I was sneaking in this slide about the institutional investors, all of a sudden they're surfacing. I don't know why or how it happened, but apparently there is a huge window of opportunity next year, and some people are ramping up. There's a lot of equity on the sidelines, and I just came from a very large investors meeting with my family office, and I realized there's these people waiting to put their money, and somehow this I don't know what it is. I'm not an analyst at all. There's some people say it's an election year and things are going to be very quiet. Many people I met think like you, Chris, but you are sharing with everybody where you see everything going and giving us some hints next year and the year after. What I have learned myself from my mentors, like Tony Robbins, for example, he would say when there's a crisis, when there's uncertainty in the market and nobody knows what to do, then we have, and I don't want to go there, we have this weird political situation, we have this geopolitical stuff going on. When there's something really not sure what's really going to happen, even Wall Street doesn't know what to do. I believe I know one thing out of the underlying economy, the underlying facts. There's 6.5 million people moving into this country over the last 2 years. People need to live somewhere. They're not going to live in tents forever. And the natural growth of population, people need a place. And Florida and Texas are the ways to go for the time being. And everybody, and I believe, my wife and I, we raised 5 kids. I believe every young couple needs a place to live, right? And people want to have houses versus apartments. So I'm a multifamily syndicator, and I read all my reports. And now people are saying people don't really want to, the young people don't want to stay forever in apartments. They want to have single-family homes. And many of the investors on the call today know that wherever you go, you pay at least $400,000. Do you have the down payment when you're 25? You have a down payment to buy a house for $400,000. So I think when Robin and me can bring a product to the market, which is really energy efficient, that's another chapter I want to discuss in another point. I can build today a net zero energy home. When I can bring this to the market that you do not need to pay your $200 FP&L bill in Florida, and I have a better product, even it's a little bit smaller maybe, but the value is going to grow. And after every downturn, look at 2008. I mean, the house has doubled, right?
So, Gunter, one other thing we didn't really hit on that I think is worthy is, when you look at the median home cost across the country, it's over $400,000, which prices out a lot of new home buyers. I mean, let's be real. I mean, especially with new banking regs and all the stringent banking underwriting that they're doing, a lot of people are just priced out of homes. So yes, then they could rent from the end buyer of these homes, but by them building it this way, by them only having to take 90 to 120 days to complete a house, I can't even fathom that. Just imagine, like, you see a vacant lot, you see a pad poured, and then, 90 days later, there's a house completed. Like I can't even fathom what that would look like, but it'd be like you're driving to work one day, the next day you drive by and the house is built. That'd be it. But it significantly reduces the cost. So they're building these houses for 300 grand. And then I don't know, what is your end buyer buying them for? Is it 369, 359?
I mean, an end buyer now, since the prices is really weird, but they're going up again. Now is the season in Florida. People are coming down. People who live in Buffalo, they're freezing and they're flying down to Florida today.
Oh, it's not that cold here yet. You bunch of wimps that live in Florida. Stephen won't even come up here in the wintertime. He's like, it's too cold.
So what I'm saying is, the price is going to go up, and I wouldn't be surprised when the houses we are building today in June, when the interest rates may be going down an inch, maybe they start selling it 400,000. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
And to the point what Brandon said earlier, I'm glad actually to hold on to the houses, because in 2 years from today, I do a build to rent. When you cannot buy my house for 100,000, I already discussed this with Robert, and we are renting it out. And when the buyer, the renter likes it, then we do a build to rent. So that means, rent to buy, that's what I'm saying. So they can rent and they don't have the money. So I don't need the down payment. I only need a small down payment, and I get monthly payments in my IRA account and have tax-free income. So we can, slice the cat many times over what we're going to do at the end of the day.
Yeah. Stephen, what's your take on this? You live down in Florida. So like, what are your thoughts? I mean, a house that they can build for 300 grand, current value is 369-ish, like, what are your thoughts on something like this?
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to dive into the numbers, but it's definitely cool technology. And building a house that quick is just amazing. And, like you guys said, if you have the end buyers in place and that's ready to roll, it's cool, man.
It's also important to point out that in that 300,000 number is the 15% interest as well.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, this bakes in the interest whole carry cost too.
Yeah,
that's a really good point.
It has some reserves in there as well, so I think it was about 20%.
Yeah, it's 20, about 22.
I think it was like 23%, but it was a little over 20%.
So we're actually building it for around 280.
Yeah. So you can see, folks, like a lot of thought's gone into this deal. A lot of definite hard work has gone into this, and just thought it'd be cool to bring it to all of you. So if any of you had interest in jumping on it, lending on this deal, it's available to you. And if any of you are interested, all you do is you email Brandon, BRANDON @chrisnaugle.com. And the reason we're doing it that way is, well, Gunter doesn't have a fancy funnel. That's all. There's no fancy link. So we just said, hey, listen, anyone that's interested, we'll have them email Brandon. Brandon will take all the emails and your information and pass it on to Gunter. And then you guys can continue the conversation. And also it'll give us a gauge on, like, as you guys email, here's one thing I would ask. If you do email Brandon, make sure you give us your name, your email, and your phone number, but also just a roundabout idea of like how much you'd be looking to lend on this deal. Because obviously it's only $1.5 million. Now I know when you're thinking about it, that sounds like a lot, but $1.5 million, knowing some of the names of the people on here, that's one person. So, if you sit on this one, it's not going to be there. If I tell Brent Kessler about this in the afternoon, it's game over probably for almost all of you. But, I'm joking about that. So just know that when you email Brandon @chrisnaugle.com, give Brandon your name, your number, your email, and also and it can be a range. I'm thinking 50 to 100. I'm thinking 100 to 200. Whatever your range is, just let us know so that we don't like send over a whole bunch of people and a bunch of people are excited about lending on it, but then all of a sudden it's reached its max and there's no more rooms, because it'll go very quick. You guys can do the math. That's not a lot of people, and it just takes 1 or 2 people coming in at a big amount. And then
I also need your address and if it's being if you're investing through a self-directed IRA, or how you're lending through an entity, so the name of the entity, I just need that as well.
So source of funds, address, and what else?
Email address, phone number, first name, last name,
email.
I can type it out.
All right. Yeah, you're going to do it way better. So just trying to get it. Did everybody enjoy that process of walking through how to mitigate risk in a deal? And literally, we did this very different than I've ever done it before. We did it with the builder on the line, also the person who's kind of organizing the deal, and what would have been when Brandon was in banking, an underwriter. So you literally got to see many different sides of how this deal looks. So I thought it was pretty interesting, and I thought hopefully you guys could all learn from that. Stephen, anything else you want to say before we let Gunter and Robert go? He's laughing. I don't know what he's laughing about. I got a booger?
No, all good, man. All good. It's good to see you, Gunter.
Yeah, can I answer this one question?
Sure.
I see in the chat room, one person is asking for solar. Yes, this is another thing what I do. We will be at solar in the year after, not on these homes right now, but we are working already towards in the direction to create a net zero energy home.
Great.
But yes, you can, anybody can put a solar technology on the roofs of those homes.
Brandon, make sure you give me your email too. You put in what you need, but you didn't put the email. Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to kick this into the next phase of this. We've only got a couple minutes, but I think I can kind of wrap this up in that, seeing as though we do a lot of lending, and all the lending deals that I do are either done from one of two sources. I either lend from, mine and my wife's self-directed IRA, or, well, now I lend from the business trust, but primarily from my banking policies, my specially designed and engineered whole life policies. And it just so happened that the other day I got one of my statements. Now we don't use New York Life. Okay, I want to be clear. This is my policy, but I started this policy in 2014. I was a financial advisor. At that time I was just getting introduced into infinite banking, but I had this policy set up then. I bought it really solely for the death benefit, which is $229,533. So this is not an infinite banking designed policy like we would do for any of you. This is just a standard off-the-shelf whole life insurance policy that I wish I could say my broke-ass brother-in-law sold me, but I myself sold this to myself while I was an advisor. But I wanted to kind of talk through this really quick for all of you, because this thing is in its 9th year. It's 9th year. I just got this. And I want to, I'm going to go to a different screen here, because I just want you guys to realize why the wealthiest families and banks use whole life, not IULs, not universal life, not VULs. Why whole life is what they use. Now, and again, knowing that these numbers aren't going to be nearly as good as what we would design for you today. But I thought this is, listen, if I can show you the worst case scenario ever, a policy that no one on my team would ever even talk to you about, because we would never design it like this. This is 100% to base. So let me just give you the numbers. So this is a New York Life whole life policy that I put $6,466 a year. I actually do it monthly. It works out to be $570. And I know if some of you have been around the campfire, I've talked about this policy. It was like my third whole life that I did. This is how much money I did a month. This is a year. Okay. So we can look at that. Now, I just want to read some of the things off of this. Right now, my death benefit has gone from, I started it at 200,000. It is now 229,533. A lot of people are like, oh, well, when you buy a whole life and you take loans, you're not going to have any money that you give to your family. This is a standard whole life. The IBC policies we do are way better, but think about that. It went from 200 to 229,000 organic growth. But here's the best part. My net cash value, okay, in this policy is $56,070.56. Okay, so those are the stats. But all I want you to focus on is how much money I'm putting into it. I'm putting $6,466. Now, Brandon, since you're good at this, if you can just do some math for me. It says right down here at the bottom, during the past year, your base plan, no paid up additions, folks. None of that good stuff in this one. Your base plan guaranteed, I'm going to say that again, guaranteed. Cash value increased 6,406. So my guaranteed growth of just here, this is just the interest rate. My guaranteed interest rate growth was $6,406. Okay. That's just the interest. I put in 6466. My guaranteed growth was 6,406. But remember, I said we only use mutually owned dividend paying whole life insurance policies. This is a dividend paying whole life insurance policy. So my dividend was right here. In addition to the increase, your annual dividend was $1,644.69. So Brandon, if you did the math, what is my guaranteed interest? 6406 plus my dividend. Okay, my dividend was 1644. How much did I make on this? 7, so I know that's 8. Did you do the math on that? No, that's 0. I can probably do it quicker than you can put the numbers in the calculator. 6, that's 5.
8,050.
Thank you. Yeah, that Common Core math skills are kicking in there. Just kidding. So my policy grew by $8,050.69. Now, Stephen, I'm going to give you a shot at this. You got a calculator up, Stephen?
Yes.
Okay, what is $8,050.69 minus 6,466? I want my net growth.
8,050, 69 by what?
Minus 6,466.
1584.69.
$1,584.69. Now, can you divide $1,584.69 into my premium of 6,466? What was my cash on cash return on this stupid, as Dave Ramsey would say, foolish, terrible whole life policy?
245%.
Probably 24%.
24.5, yeah.
We gotta move the decimal point a little bit. Okay, so folks, let me just ask you this. If this is a standard off-the-shelf whole life policy in its 9th year, now this policy sucked in the early years. It was no cash value year 1, very little year 2. So again, it's nothing like what we do, but how many of you would love to earn 24.5% on your money? Most of it being guaranteed, 6,406 of the total 8,000 guaranteed. Is anyone upset when they make 24%? Anyone? And you know what the best part about this policy is? In every single policy that we do for, over 8,000 people now, next year, guess what will happen? Can anyone tell me what that number is going to be next year? It's going to be more. Anyone else want to tell me how much it'll be the year after that? More. And the year after that? More. Every year for the rest of my life, the policy will earn more. It won't be 24 next year. It'll be 25. And next year after that, it might be 27. And then it just keeps going north. You see, but if this was the 9th year in an IBC policy, we'd probably be double or hell, maybe even triple that number. But this is just a normal whole life. Plus my death benefit keeps going up. And you know what the very best part about this policy is? You all like 24%. You see what it grew at. How much money do you think is left in this policy? Like how much money do you, or let me say that again. How much money do you think I have loaned out of this policy? Stephen, how much do you think I have loaned out from this policy?
All of it.
All of it. All of the money in this policy is out working. And some of it's at the Fullers earning 13%. Some of it's in a Chris Rude deal right now that I'm getting 12% on. It's out there. It's buying cars. It's investing in deals. It's lending money to people like Gunter and Robert. It's out working. But the best part is because of the way that whole life works, all of my money continues to grow. This return that's the net return, even though the money's out working for me, making money a second time. So am I really just making 24.5% cash on cash? No, I'm making 24.5 plus 12 plus 15, whatever the return is on the money out there working. This wasn't really part of the plan, but folks, I just thought this would be cool to show you. And why did I not show you my IBC policies? Well, because if I show you the absolute worst possible outcome, what happens when I show you one of the best outcomes? What happens when one of our team members does your plan design and does it properly and your returns are double or triple what I just showed you? Are you upset or are you happy that I showed you a 24% return on a base standard whole life with no paid up additions? Which means the advisor, myself, got a nice old 55% commission. Yep. These are those ones Dave Ramsey always talks about, that the agent gets paid that big old rip commission. So my commission on that 6,466 was 55%. Not bad. If Stephen were to do this exact policy for me today, do it with one of the plan designs we do, his commission would be reduced by 75%. So you would just reduce that commission 75%. That's how this works, folks. One person has to give so another person gets. And I just thought that was a really good sum up for today, because a lot of you do have policies. A lot of you, I saw in the comments, you're in underwriting, or you're just about to get it going. Like, if you got this policy, and it's just convenient that I have, well, there's $56,000 in cash value, so let's pretend it's not lent out. After seeing a presentation like Gunter and Roberts, where do you think I'd want 50,000 of that money going? Do you think into that deal, earning 15% first lien position on a pre-sold project? Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad place for 50 grand to go to work, right? So I'm just trying to show you, like, whether it's a self-directed IRA, a policy, or a bank, you know, maybe you got money sitting in the bank earning 3 to 5% right now. Maybe it's time to get that money working for you. Or even better, maybe some of you have a standard off-the-shelf 401k plan, 457 plan, TSP. Maybe you got your retirement funds there. You're getting a little worried because we're at the top of the market, probably soon to go down. I mean, everything points down. Maybe you want to get that money out of the 401k and you want to get that money working at 15%, but you don't want to take the money out of the 401k because then you're taxed and penalized pre-59.5. So why not take a loan from your 401k? Send that money out to work for Gunter. So here, check this out. Let's just do the math. Let's say you had a 401k. Somebody mentioned this in the chat, which is why it's top of mind for me. You can take 50,000 or 50%. So let's just do 50,000. Let's say you took a loan for 50,000 from your 401k. Guess what has to happen? 50,000 has to come out of the stock market in order for a loan to happen. So where are you going to sell? If you sell a position inside your 401k, 457, or any retirement account, are you selling low or are you selling high? Can anyone say it in the chat? Low or high? High, right? You're selling at one of the highest points the market's ever been at. That makes no sense, but we're selling at the high point. So you get 50 grand out of the market and your gains are locked in. You then lend that money out. Let's just use this deal at 15%. How much interest is your 401k going to charge you? I don't know. It's going to be a range, but let's shoot high. Let's say it's 9%. Okay. Let's say it's 9%. So if they're going to charge you 9 and you're making 15, you're making 6%, right? Did anyone find the mathematical error? How much interest are you actually making? This would be your spread. You make 15 from Gunter's deal. They pay every single month. So every month, a check comes back to you from that 401k loan. But you see, the interest that the 401k is going to charge you is, I went high at 9%. You guys all can call and ask what your interest rate is. Did I make 6% or did I make more? Anyone? The 401k loan is going to charge me 9. Gunter's going to pay me 15. How much did I make? But how much more? It's simple math. 15. Is it 15 minus 9? Or did I trick you folks? Come on. Stephen, what is it? Because it's not 6%. I didn't make 6%. I made 15% lending the money plus the 9%. Rick nailed it. This 9% that's being charged in interest on the 401k loan, who gets that interest? I do if it's my 401k. When you take a loan from your 401k, the interest charged is interest that goes back into your 401k. So when you borrow from your 401k, you're not just making 15, you're making the 15 from their deal plus the interest or whatever they're charging you on your 401k. It's a combination of the two. How do you like those apples? Stephen likes them. All right, yeah, eat it up, Stephen. All right, what questions we got? Let's hit some questions. I know we're a couple minutes over.
Yeah, we can run through the Q&A. So what are the top 3 companies we use?
One America, that's probably number 1. Lafayette Life is a close second, which is owned by Western Southern. You can look both of those companies up. Giant, mutually owned, dividend-paying life insurance companies. We also use Guardian, Security Mutual, and in the past, before Mass Mutual said that they don't support IBC, we also used Mass Mutual, but those are more than 3.
Chris, when you sold yourself that policy, pretend it was the broke ass brother-in-law, how would that person tell you about cash value and what that means?
I'll tell you, that's a great question. So Shauna, back in the day, when I was an advisor selling whole life or convincing myself to buy a whole life, in this case, it wasn't about the early cash value. I would look at 10, 15, 20 years, and I would say, holy cow, look at all the cash value that I have. And if something happened to me, look at the death benefit that I have. So it was first, I would be buying a death benefit. 200,000 was the death benefit on this. And secondarily, and how do you know I was buying a death benefit? Anytime you see a policy that is a set amount, like if you look on this first page, my death benefit, where is it? It's called, here we go. The base plan death benefit right here, the base plan death benefit was $200,000. So when I bought this policy, I literally just said, I'm going to buy $200,000 worth of death benefit. Hence how it came out to be $570.21, which is a weird monthly premium because I wasn't building the policy the way we build them today. I was building it for the death benefit, 200K. And I was like, okay, well, in the future, I'll have a bunch of cash value. That'll be good. But I wasn't able to use the cash value early on. And every policy that I sold while I was a financial advisor was always in the future, usually supplemental retirement planning. Sometimes it was, hey, here was a big sales thing. Hey, I'm going to put money into this whole life and I'm going to get a $200,000 death benefit. Awesome. Oh, and by the way, in 10 years from now, I'm going to get all my money back because I got enough cash value that's paid me every penny back that I paid in for the death benefit. Follow what I'm saying? So that's how I always did it, Sean. A great question.
Would you, yes. So vaping is considered smoking. Yes. Would you recommend using a 401k loan to initially fund a BYOB policy?
Not usually. You could, but the money'd have to go from the 401k into the policy and then immediately out into a deal like this deal you just saw, because obviously you got a drag of whatever your 401k loan interest is, that's money that's got to be paid back every single pay period. It's going to come right out of your paycheck. If you're not looking for your paycheck to go down, you got to have that money out there working. So usually I just tell people with 401ks, have that money just go to work directly. It's more efficient. I mean, there are reasons if you need death benefit or you're really playing the long game, you could go to the policy first and then lend from the policy. But I think it could work either way. I always just tell people go 401k direct to the deal.
Yeah. Especially, stick at that. I mean, the market's at all-time highs, so it's never a bad time, in my opinion, to pull 50 grand out of there and get it out of the markets. But yeah, going direct might make more sense. What was the insurance names? Okay, so One America, which is American United Life, company called Lafayette Life Insurance Company, which is the Western and Southern Group, Securities Mutual Life, and Guardian Life would be the 4 primary companies we use. All right, that's all the Q&As I see.
Nope. Whoa, holy cow. Coming in the final hour. We're going to cut it off.
All right, and then we'll stop the IBC stuff, guys. If you have anything else for Gunter or Robert, let's get that. And then we're already going long here, but we do have an Ask Me Anything at 4:30 p.m. So in less than 2 hours, you can join us on the YouTube page or Facebook. And we spend a whole hour just doing question and answer with our entire team. So join us then if you have any other questions about IBC. But with Mass Mutual not supporting IBC, will there be any issues with future loans? No, David, no problems, just no new policies with them. Dana said, what about doing cash out refi to start policy number 2? I have a lot of equity in my rental home that's just sitting there. I mean,
yeah, you definitely could do that. But again, you'd need to get that money out working for you, Dana. That's the number one thing. The policies are never going to make you wealthy. They're going to preserve and protect your principal and your capital and grow at a decent rate. I know some of you are looking at 24%, but remember that's 9 years it took me to get to that. So, the name of the game is the infinite banking concept. It's the process that we teach, not just the policy. So if you were to do that, cash out, take the money, put it into the policy, we want to try to find a way to get that money out working for you as quickly as possible so that it starts earning a return. And then you can take the return and put it back into the policy. It's always the the process that you're really focused on, not so much just the product. But with that being said, Gunter, Robert, thank you so much. Robert, I hope you feel better. I know what it's like being sick. I feel like I've been sick more than I've been healthy the last quarter of this year. It sucks. So, you know, take care, get well, and have a Merry Christmas if I don't talk to you before then.
Thank you very much.
All right. And for any of you that were new here for the first time, thanks for sticking it out. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Wealth Webinar. I hope you learned something. This was kind of experimental for us. We're really excited about it, and you'll be hearing more about this deal, or maybe you won't. Maybe it'll be totally gone and filled by tomorrow. But we'll also probably see this deal on Private Money Club if it's not filled up. So stay tuned. Get your profile and get your account set up on privatemoneyclub.com. And we will see a lot of you this afternoon at 4:30 Eastern for the happy hour. Ask Me Anything. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks, Gunter.
Right, good to see you, Gunter.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Heather.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks, Robert.
Thanks, Brandon. Thanks for doing all the work on this deal.
Not a problem.
Cool. All right. All right. See everybody next time.